2 shocking title changes, and a House of Horrors. It's all here, it's all next. Here, WWE Payback.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Papa Roach bringing us in. Hello and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's coverage of WWE's Payback. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. The panel is full strength, representing the pay-per-view panel to my left. Mr. George Hermoza is here. Where can they find you on the Twitter?
Where's Christy Olsen? You can find me at GHERMOZA, G Hermoza. Seriously, she's always here on the pay-per-view panels.
I don't know who that is.
I think she moved away.
And representing the Raw panel, because this is a Raw pay-per-view, to George's left, Markeia McCarty.
Yeah, that's me. Markeia McCarty. Hey, really good pay-per-view, y'all.
And to her left, if I'm getting it right, yes, also representing the Raw panel.
Wait, hold on. I learned something new at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
What was that? Oh, there you go. The first progenitor of hyper optimism. Ladies and gentlemen, Ty Matthews. You can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMAC. George knows how to be well.
Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right?
If y'all want to know how to be well, you just gotta tune in. Man, I thought the Raw after show went on late. We are.
Yeah, y'all.
We're some night owls here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I thought I was a night owl. I am not.
So, first thoughts on this show as a whole.
We definitely got right into talking about the House of Horrors right before we went on the air for sure.
Yes.
It's like we were talking about. Well, you know, you've got to give them some sort of goodwill for trying something new.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for that. I'm a big fan of haunted houses, of the Halloween variety. That's what it reminded me of. Just needed a few more drop windows.
Was it really new? Didn't they do that thing with the New Day last year?
I mean, yeah.
Well, that was kind of different. That was at the compound, and that
Okay.
was
That
mainly
was the compound of horrors, not the House of Horrors.
Well, that was
wasn't
mainly
Raw,
a butt
too.
whooping, which is what that was all about.
right.
I mean, this one kind of was too. I mean, you have to appreciate them doing something new. I mean, when you think about it, what was it a while back? Was it Hell in the Cell where they did the Ambrose Asylum? What was the pay-per-view that they did that on?
Hell in a Cell sounds correct.
Might have been.
It might have been.
Let's say that.
I know that it was in a cell, but for instance, you gotta love that they're trying something new, and that really was a good mixture of the Bray Wyatt element along
Simpson.
with a pay-per-view.
Homer Simpson once said the first part of failing is trying.
That is
I like that.
not
That's
incorrect.
astute.
I like it.
That is a good
I also
quote,
don't want to
George.
go after them for trying a new thing.
No, not
with
at all.
this match, I do want to critique their execution.
I think there are definitely kind of logical fallacies, maybe plot holes that you can delve into. I think one thing that I would like to see is maybe more cohesion with the Bray Wyatt storyline. You know, like maybe exactly why are baby dolls hanging from the ceiling, and not just have the answer be because spooky.
Yeah, because he's crazy, and that's
He's
what he's
creepy
into.
though.
Right.
I kind of would have liked. I mean, I know it was a match just between the two of them, but I felt like there could have been some. Let me get the right enhancement talent. That there could have been.
You got it.
Because I had
We
to
use
say the right
euphemisms on the
terminology.
Raw,
There
for
we go. Some enhancement talent like in there. Just have a couple of people in sheet masks or some kids that just pop out. They've got
like, creep 'em
they've got
out
the
or-
mask on, and they're just standing there and
Randy
like
Orton
sucking their
KOing
thumb.
kids.
That was the best because they did that 3 years ago at Extreme Rules 2014. Remember they had the whole
Yeah.
sheet mask?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
absolutely.
had. Yeah,
Bugged out and
that
bugged
was
out.
fantastic. Everybody
Bugged out
loved
John
that.
Cena. I loved it. I genuinely love most of what they're doing with Bray Wyatt.
Sure.
We'll get deep
We'll get
into
to
this
that.
match.
Yeah,
This
Yeah,
match, by
we
the way,
gotta
that
do
match in total, if you count both segments, is 17 minutes, 10 seconds. By far the longest match of the
I
night.
see. Okay.
If you count it up. But on the pre-show, we had Enzo and Big Cass, who are going up against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, who if we got into a time machine to WrestleMania pre-Hardy Boys, they would have been the favorites to walk out of WrestleMania Tag Team Champions, one of these two teams.
Sure.
That is
sure.
true.
Enzo and Cass would have been the most likely. It was a kind of a predestined story of we debuted in Dallas the night after WrestleMania from NXT. It's taken us all the way here to this ladder match. We're gonna win. And then the Hardys happened.
I mean, in a way, it kind of parallels their arc in NXT. The fact that they were constantly chasing those tag titles and never won them. So it might just forever be an always a bridesmaid, never a bride type situation.
I don't know. I think they're going to put the belt on them. It's just doesn't have to be
Yeah.
soon. They're
Absolutely.
really good chasers. They don't need to be champions because they're very over. I mean, they've got a great call and response. You know, I mean,
They're
they
really
don't need a
good.
belt.
They're really good multi-segment faces on Monday Night Raw.
And it's funny, like you say that they should hold off on giving them the belts, but yet like they kind of rushed it. I mean, in my opinion, rushed it a little bit with Bayley.
I agree.
So
I
can
agree
see
with that.
that.
I
agree
think
with
it's funny
that.
that they rushed with her, but not with these guys. You know,
Right.
I feel like if they were to rush, it should have been with these guys. But now I'm hoping that maybe they get that big W in Brooklyn at SummerSlam. I think that would make for that big ultimate
I
moment.
think that would
Absolutely.
be a big pop if they did.
I
that.
would-
Perfect place to.
I
have
would
it
love
done.
that. That would be the perfect place to build towards.
But yeah, you would have thought
I'm-
that maybe this one would have been
Yeah.
the perfect place to build to for Bayley, at least, you know.
Right, but yeah, we've certainly seen the trend of people.
I mean, if
getting
anything,
the shaft in their hometown.
If anything, Enzo and Big Cass is going to win the belt at Great Balls of Fire and then lose it at SummerSlam.
Anyway,
Great balls of fire.
Enzo and Cass have a really
I'm just
good.
gonna
That's a
keep.
Raw
I'm just
pay-per-view,
gonna
right?
keep calling it Bad Blood.
Have a really good
They call him a
6-minute,
Smiley.
really good 6-minute, 35-second match with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson on the pre-show. It's pretty standard. Enzo out, fight for the hot tag, miss the hot tag, get the hot tag, Big Cass out. What I find interesting is Michael Cole calls it as Enzo and Cass steal one.
Right. And that's at first I agreed with that because I had only seen the small package portion, and I've got my thoughts on like flash pins and roll up victories, but I thought I enjoyed it once I kind of saw it in context with the big boot interrupting the Magic Killer right into the small package. I was a little more on board with that part. It at least made them seem like more of a cohesive unit and not Cass is just saving Enzo's ass again.
That their cohesion beat Gallows and Anderson.
Right.
Not Big Cass cheating and Enzo would never do that. Like no, Enzo would absolutely do that for Cass.
And right, exactly. And I've always thought that they're not the type of team, at least Enzo's not, that's gonna act completely virtuous, even if everyone loves him. You know?
Well, no, everyone doesn't love him. I mean,
What are you talking about?
He's Enzo.
You just said they were super over.
No, they are. That doesn't mean that you love them. I mean, I used to really enjoy them, but now he's like kind of like I don't know. He's kind of he's like a Psyduck popping out of places, like with like Pokemon, and it's just like, oh my God, just stop, just calm down a little bit, just calm down, Psy. But no, that I enjoy him. I'm not saying I love him. No, it's a Pokemon reference.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
Psy, Gundam,
Psyduck.
whatever.
But yeah, no, the flash
talking about
pins I
wrestling.
don't mind that much. It's kind of like, I don't know, 3-pointers in basketball.
Yeah,
You know,
especially-
it's just one of those things to kind of even it out.
And
for
on a
the-
pre-show match too. Like you're not expecting
yeah.
Right.
You're not expecting a 15, 25-minute classic on a pre-show match.
Sure.
That would be a way
We saw it last month.
It's true. This
Not-
is
But I think it's different at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah,
WrestleMania is
absolutely.
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania is its
Just
own
kind of
beast.
fall back on WrestleMania because we had like an hour to talk about a 6-hour show. Right. I feel like with that one, it's like you want to be on a WrestleMania pre-card because I think Neville and Aries would have got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a second. But I think in this case, I think in some ways, being on the pre-show is not a bad thing. Last year we saw an amazing match with Kalisto and Ryback, which I think would have they would not have that same match had it been on the main card.
true. And I wish more people would have been in the arena to see that match.
So I feel like they're going to come the time where we are going to see 15, 20-minute matches on the pre-show because they have that time.
Yeah.
Speaking of
This one was good because SummerSlam's around the corner, so yeah, gives them some impetus.
I do agree this makes them
Hold on
it
real
makes
quick.
both teams look
What
very strong.
is that word you just said? Impetus?
Impetus.
Impetus?
It gives them some momentum, gives them
Okay.
legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of legs, that's not a good transition. But
Nailed the segue. Nailed it in one. Check the gate. Moving on.
we are in season 2 of the AfterBuzz TV Predictions Championship. This data is based on that information. We had a lot of people predict pretty much a coin flip between Enzo and Cass and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Everybody thought it would be a clean finish, as 0% say other or no contest. 49.1% of them were correct.
There we go.
And
All right.
that's, in my estimation, that's usually the good key of a well-built match, or at least a suspension of disbelief match, which like most people don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Fair enough.
Yep. After that on the pre-show, we got Miz out. It took him less than 90 seconds to come out. Balor came out way longer, but people love him. Miz calls it out. We have a segment of Miz TV where Finn Balor says, among many other things, I'm going to get my title back. How do we feel about Balor's chances in the current WWE system to get a match with Brock Lesnar?
I mean, I'd like to see the match. I don't know if I necessarily believe in it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
But that is something that I'd like to see, that sort of dynamic, you know?
Yeah, at this point, I kind of wonder if Brock Lesnar even remembers that he has the belt.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's been a piece.
It's just like sitting at the bottom of his bag, like, oh yeah, that's
He's
why
like,
my
"Oh,
bag's so heavy.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember this. I should go do that again sometime.
right.
He hasn't unpacked from Orlando yet.
Right, exactly.
Probably. Oh, who has?
And I could say, yeah, sometimes you get back from a wrestling show and you don't take your gear out until the next show comes around. It's not super great.
People don't
Not-
appreciate you
not
for
a
that.
super
Smelly
great
bag.
smell.
I like that they finally, talked about it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
obviously we haven't really seen or heard much of Finn Balor in the last few weeks since he came back. So I kind of like that they finally said, "Hey, I never lost that belt."
Exactly.
kinda like
I love that they're refreshing those motivations, like that should be his top priority,
Yeah.
you know, and not just like getting lost in blading the Miz.
Yeah.
But I will say I absolutely am in love with the Miz anytime he interacts with a crowd, especially this crowd tonight.
This crowd was so hot.
Absolutely.
This was the SAP Center, which was the site of the Raw after WrestleMania 31, which is, I think it's called the Shark Pond. 'Cause
Okay.
The
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
I like it.
It's called the Shark
like
Tank.
like the show.
Yeah.
Because it's built for the noise to go all the way down into the center area.
Oh, interesting.
It's
Okay.
a really
Oh,
loud
okay.
space compared to most spaces that I would argue most pay-per-view crowds are this hot.
Right.
But this building is built to harness the energy of a crowd this
that must
way.
jazz people
they had
up.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
They had SummerSlam 2001 in that building.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, they did say that this was the first time in a decade that they had held a pay-per-view in this arena.
Yeah, and it definitely showed, like, you can hear the crowd chants throughout the entire way, including the "Thank You, Braun" chants,
Right,
which we'll get to.
Oh wow!
just
But
get to
you
those.
deserve it. Oh, y'all are wrong.
So we get
So
into the main
wrong.
show. This opens up with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens fighting for the United States Championship, which Booker T has told us 4 times they're both Canadian.
Right.
Love you, Booker
Two
T.
Canadians fighting over the U.S. title. We got it.
Hey.
Moving on.
Love you,
Hey,
Booker T. That was on your notes more than once.
And we had a Russian as a, well, I'm sorry, a Bulgarian.
Bulgarian.
There
A
you go.
Bulgarian
Sympathize
as
with
a
Russia.
United States champion. And I thought he made a pretty good one. That was a fun time with Rusev and Lana doing that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
This match was great.
And Swagger
Absolutely.
had it, right?
The U.S. title?
Yeah, didn't Swagger have it? Like way back?
Swagger had it, and then Cesaro had it. And made a bit of a
Swagger
thing
beat-
about
Oh,
it.
that's
Yeah.
right. Cesaro
Swagger
had
beats
it.
Zack Ryder, and then Santino Marella beats Jack Swagger.
There you go.
There we
There
go.
you
A
go.
lot of
Santino.
non-Americans have won a Sheamus.
Is that Sheamus with his red, white, and blue tights?
I mean,
Absolutely.
to be fair, they are both North Americans.
Right, exactly.
I give them super, and I think neither of them live in Canada now. Or actually, no, Kevin Owens lives.
Kevin Owens lives in Montreal.
Okay, yeah.
Kevin Owens moved back after NXT. This was a great match. I think this was the bookend for these two. Mm-hmm. Especially since,
Oh,
Well-
I mean, they're both going to be on SmackDown now.
But I mean, Jericho has limited time before he goes back on tour,
Yeah.
so who knows
That's
when
right. I
when
mean,
he
that
might.
starts like in May, I
hope
Maybe.
I hope this is the bookend, just because I hate when people transfer shows and then it's like they're still working a program. The whole thing about brand transferring, whatever it's called, Superstar Shakeup, was that we want to see some fresh matchups.
Right.
When I saw that kind of Ambrose Miz kind of get paired together, I'm like, oh, we just saw this like 6 months ago.
Right.
Not even,
I
like
kinda,
3 months ago.
I kind of see it more as a bridge. Like this is something to be like, hey, this is a little bit familiar for you, and now we're going to let them out and play with everybody else.
And I
Type
think
thing.
I agree with that to an extent, but I think the bridge in this scenario would have been at WrestleMania. I think this is more a finish line kind of. I think
this felt like there's a lot of finality to this.
Yeah, I think I think Owens getting his comeuppance, Jericho getting the title back, especially kind of rounding out that story of putting Kevin Owens' finger on the list,
Yeah.
and then kind of smashing it, going after it to secure the win.
And
I
having-
think that's a nice button to put on the
And
story.
having Kevin Owens tap out in the middle of the ring,
Right.
is something there, like, in wrestling parlance, like, that's huge. Like,
Sure.
to tap out in the middle of the ring to your arch rival means
Right.
a lot more than just like a quick flash pin or
Yeah.
like
yeah. So
grabbing a
would
rope.
you say he got payback? Ah.
Cue music.
No, you can let us on Monday on the Raw After Show. I'll see.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not. I could totally be mistaken, but I'm not sure we've seen Kevin Owens tap out before.
I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
I'm not gonna hazard that. I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna say I'm 100% certain.
I'm not gonna hazard that.
I'm sure people will
guess.
correct me if I'm wrong.
But
if he did, it would have been from the STF.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you might be right. You may be right. Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
Mark Donica is that voice you're hearing.
Mark
I
Donica.
forgot to introduce him. He's on the ones and twos for us
And
here.
the threes and the fours. Hi, everybody. It's really late.
I love Mark.
I like these kind of things because I think, not to say that this was their number one reason for doing the match or doing the finish, but I think a lot of us nerds, I'm one of them, we're all one of them, let's face it. Oh my God, Kevin Owens is totally going to win because Jericho's going to be on tour with Fozzy. And it's kind of like, okay, well, this
Yeah.
shows that we know nothing.
Right,
You
and
know
I
what mean?
and I try
Well-
not to factor stuff like that
Yeah.
in too much. I try to enjoy the story for what is told to us in the
Yeah.
context
Yeah.
of the story. You know.
I do that now for the most part. But yeah, no, the big part, let's be real, a big part of it was like, no way Jericho. I mean, 92% thought that Owens was
Oh,
winning.
wow.
But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's mostly
This-
because of the whole thing, oh, well, Jericho's leaving.
And I think that's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
And they're not understanding that to bookend this, you would have to have Jericho win, and then Jericho could drop it literally Tuesday, and
Sure.
then go on tour just as easily.
Sure. Do they say that AJ is getting the shot at
Actually, they-
Backlash? Or
no,
they say
they
that
didn't.
he's just getting the number one?
They said that he's getting the shot at Backlash.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But Kevin also has his contractual rematch,
Ah.
which could turn it into a triple threat match, which could be one of the greatest matches we've ever seen.
There you go. Absolutely.
And there you are.
But yeah,
Yeah,
as we
I-
said, 92.7.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Owens was going to win because I wanted to keep Jericho.
Right,
that
that's
was-
also true.
You
I
had some
wasn't
reasons, yeah.
expecting
that
him
was
to
my
go over to
motivation.
SmackDown.
Honestly,
Yeah.
when I saw Kevin Owens come out with that US KO thing, that's why I thought he was going
Right,
to win.
right,
Because
right.
I go back to like John Cena when he released
Yep.
his 15-time champion. I'm like,
Hmm.
well, there's no way he's going to beat Seth Rollins now. He just made the shirt like a week ago.
But to counterpoint that also was kind of what they did with Y2AJ. And the second they released those shirts, Chris Jericho turned on AJ Styles.
So
Yeah,
it goes to
the-
show how much I know.
Yeah, can I say how much I absolutely love
again-
that the finger made a comeback?
Exactly.
Oh my God, the
exactly.
finger.
Oh, that
you don't
that-
get callbacks like that very often.
so nice.
The finger could get its own T-shirt.
Right, exactly.
Jericho put over putting someone's finger on the list.
Well, and that was one of the things that I thought about after this match is that a fan in the front row had the clipboard. Jericho went over, put KO on the list, signed it, and I'm like, only Chris Jericho could get a clipboard over enough to make it what I'm sure is one of their top merch sellers.
You know how much it is?
Actually, I think the kid
it's
already
15,
had
right?
Do you know how
KO
much-
on there.
Do you know how
Oh,
much?
really?
Yeah,
know
because
how much
remember
his
he was
clipboard is?
pointing and he was like laughing,
Right,
like,
right,
really
right.
enjoying that. And he scribbled underneath
Um,
it. I think the kid did
A
that.
piece of paper with clipboard costs $24.99.
Is it really? I would've guessed
Excluding-
15.
Excluding shipping.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna
You-
buy 3 shirts.
a business.
You
Let's be
researched
real.
this.
I like it.
I wanted one. For
We all want
sure.
one.
I wanted one. I was
Just
like,
wait for $5 Friday. It'll be fine.
yeah, hopefully.
It's right there with you.
Too bad it doesn't have a WrestleMania 33 logo, or else it'd be on clearance like in a month.
Right. I was just browsing the clearance section myself. Oh, R.I.P. Von Villains.
So now we move on to the Cruiserweight Championship match.
Yeah.
Love this. Love these guys. Love they get another shot at each other. I've actually been loving what they've been doing with the Cruiserweight since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And this
Oh,
is
yeah.
this is coming from someone who has not been has had the kindest words.
Well, at least what they've been doing with the cruiserweights in regards to Neville and all the things orbiting Neville.
Yes. And if you're gonna have a champion who claims to be the king of the cruiserweights like Neville is, you should.
You gotta
Cruiserweight.
you can't do that. You
King
gotta
of
say
the
like him.
Cruiserweight.
Sorry, king of the cruiserweights.
There you go. Wait, that's someone else entirely.
I know. We're talking cruiserweights.
And then you have him dominate the division like he is. He should be a planetary system, not just a guy.
Right.
Not just a guy who has a belt.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
a planetary system. He's a fixture of the cruiserweight universe.
Yeah,
Right.
no, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, this match was just, I don't know, it was like, oh, they were working stiff, and I loved it. I loved it. I was all about it. And then just like Neville being Neville, and he's such a great heel. He's like, I'm not tapping out on this. Is the ref in grabbing distance?
Right. Well, and yeah, there was so much kind of kinetic energy when Austin Aries locked in the last Chancery that it kind of called back to Mania. You know, it made it harder for Neville to kind of go after the eye or the orbital injury again. So Neville had to resort to yet another tactic.
I love just a good dirty tactic.
Right.
Which is, I don't care if people buy my T-shirt. I don't care if people like me. I'm going to win matches.
Oh,
Right.
his face when he was going back up the ramp, like, ha 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 ha. Congratulations on your win.
right. And yeah, I love this version of Neville in that, you know, he'll try to assert his dominance to an extent, but like once he gets in danger, he'll take a disqualification.
All day taking
He
this
doesn't
well.
care,
Like,
yeah.
And then I like this because if you were to tell me this will not happen, like this will happen the next Raw pay-per-view, the both of them again. Bring it. I'm all for it.
Right. And I feel like it very well might with some sort of a stipulation. I think that
no
might be,
DQ, definitely.
Third time you need a stipulation.
Right.
Oh no! I think we are going to see one of those matches. I feel like we're going to see it on 205 Live, if anything, though. I feel like maybe if you start promoting, let's say they're going to have a ladder match on 205 Live, first time ever, 205 Live ladder match. It kind of gives the incentive for the audience to actually stay in the arena this time ever.
Right, exactly.
So, not just
Nice
Ziggler
point.
versus Nakamura after 205 Live, but I don't know. I do feel like we're going to see something. I don't think they're going to wait until. Is the next one really Great Balls of Fire? Is that?
Yes.
There's
Or
one-
no,
there's not one.
that's
No, no,
July.
no.
No, that's July.
Yeah.
Well, that's I think that might be the next Raw pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, we're
right?
in-
So what's before
No.
Great Balls of Fire?
Well, do you mean like just pay-per-views in
Because
general,
for
or you mean
Raw.
like
Oh,
Raw?
for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
for
for
those
Raw.
guys, for these two guys or any cruiserweight to be on the.
It's gonna be
pay-per-view.
Backlash, and then
Backlash.
Well,
SmackDown.
Backlash,
Right,
SmackDown.
right.
and then
That's
it's going
SmackDown.
to be. There's something before Great Balls of Fire. It's on the list.
Back up your claim.
It's on the. I don't want to get out of the chat. I'm reading everybody
I'll
on the
find
chat.
it.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Mark.
Yeah, Joseph Boza looks like might know with Extreme Rules and probably is going to be.
Yes,
Oh, could be.
Extreme Rules.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Money in the Bank is also in June, and Great
So,
Balls of Fire is July. There's going to be plenty of times before
If
Great
anything,
Balls
it
of Fire.
might sound like it might be an Extreme Rules, just for the simple fact that usually most of those matches are stipulation matches. But if anything, I'd like to see like a ladder match on a 205 Live. You know,
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
you know,
I like to see one for the women's division too.
Yeah. I also want to see a Money in the Bank cruiserweight match, but
Sure.
a guy can.
No, absolutely, and I think you're right. I think that's a great point. That I think there does need to be some more incentive for people to tune in to 205 Live. I mean, there's great matches, but like they've been having great matches,
Yeah.
and
And,
it's still
and SmackDown has great matches.
Right,
Like, people
exactly.
are already watching SmackDown for the mixture of both. 205 Live is getting a lot better, but it has an image problem.
Right.
They need to bring in Rey Mysterio.
true.
Sure, if you can get them.
And I think it needs something to set it aside from just main event and or superstars, but with lighter guys.
Yes. This match was 11 minutes 20 seconds.
Purple Rose.
And really quickly before we get to
Please.
it, I have it up here. May 21st, Backlash at the Allstate Arena. June 4th, Extreme Rules at the United Airlines
June
Arena.
4th.
Wow,
That's a joke.
June?
Yeah, June 4th is Extreme Rules. June 18th, Money in the Bank. July 9th, that one that we talked about.
The
Goodness
GB
pay-per-view
OF.
formerly known as Bad Blood.
The one
You
with
mean
the
Little Richard's
the
one?
one with the balls. July 35th.
The ball one.
July 23rd, Battleground. August 20th, SummerSlam.
SummerSlam?
SummerSlam.
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 SummerSlam. Yes.
Better than Summerfest. Thanks, Ari Gold.
WWE Firefest.
I'm down with that.
I, as someone who tends to go to their stuff, I don't want any of their stuff to turn out like Firefest.
I don't think anybody does.
Austin Aries Neville also
Ja Rule.
pretty close to a coin flip, 48-2 for Austin Aries, 0.9 for a no contest, 50.9 for Neville. Slight favorite on Neville. Austin Aries does win, but by disqualification, so Neville retains.
Yeah.
Because that would have made, I guess by this percent not, but in my mind that would have made a third shocking. That would have made a third shocking title change.
I do. One thing that I kind of groaned at is that we're getting yet another streak of, this guy is 6-0 in one-on-one matches on pay-per-view
Against
And
cruiserweights.
I'm really sick of these specific streaks. Like, if you're trying to build up these records and these streaks as something comparable to, I don't know, say MMA or UFC, if there was a fighter in the UFC, you wouldn't say, he's undefeated on Fox. He's undefeated on these pay-per-views. Like,
You would just say he's 10-0 of
Exactly.
his last. He He's 15-0 of his last 20.
Right, a record's a record. Like, saying he's 6-0 on pay-per-view doesn't really mean anything to him if he has lost one-on-one matches on Raw.
Yeah.
Like, it means nothing.
It's funny, like, because speaking of streaks too, like the thing that I hated the most about the streak being broken, the streak was never broken. He still won 21 straight WrestleManias in a row, so the streak still exists.
The streak was
The streak was
21.
there. It just
That's
ended.
finished, yeah.
It ended. Yeah.
But the streak still exists.
And not to
Right.
mention a record that no one would ever touch.
Right.
Like
Well,
a record,
no.
no one's going to do 10.
Right.
No one's going to be undefeated at WrestleMania for 8, for 7.
Don't speak for yourself.
Speaking of streaks, just recently Asuka had her 174th match without being pinned or submitted, which puts her past Goldberg's streak, both his real streak and his streak.
However you slice it, she has beaten Goldberg's streak.
Right.
I hope to see her in Riverside Friday.
Yes, absolutely. Is that
Nice.
Friday?
That's Friday. I'm going. And
My hometown.
And then San Diego
Riverside.
Saturday. Speaking of the tag team division, Cesaro, Sheamus are going up
Because-
against the Hardy Boys.
Tag team. It's a tag.
Oh, we got
tag team match,
we got sidetracked by
Holla,
Teddy.
holla.
Yeah.
Also, great match. We had a bit on the pre-show with Cesaro and Sheamus
Social media lounge.
in the social media lounge, speaking at great length of just the typical "all shucks, these guys are great. They're a nostalgia act." They got a little sharp when saying they're a nostalgia act. We're here to beat them.
Right.
They're not on our level.
Sure.
Kind of a thing. And then they go in and just have what you would think this match would be. A great match.
Including Jeff Hardy getting the piss kicked out of him.
You're right. Minus the one spot where where Sheamus kicked Jeff Hardy
Is that where he
in
lost
the
a tooth?
teeth.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sheamus kicked Jeff Hardy in the tooth, and Jeff Hardy lost a tooth.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think they even
boy.
slow-moed that on the Raw after Raw
Yep.
talk, where it was just like Cesaro's like, "Hey, slow this down. Let's watch it in slow motion." And I was like, "Dude, okay."
Yeah.
But
Hey, if
you're
you're
right.
gonna bleed, do it on the show. It's good for business.
Yeah, his tooth was
But you're right.
broken.
All right.
I've got a couple more. I've got a couple more.
Just get them all out right now.
I like
Just-
No, I refuse.
Let him
I'm gonna space it out.
organically.
all right.
I'm all about dramatic pause.
So Jeff's out initially, then it's Matt. Matt seeking the long tag for Jeff, then Matt again. Twist of fate on top of Sheamus, who's on top of Matt. The Hardy Boys over. And they're doing, at this point, the pretty standard Hardy Boys nostalgia act fare. And if you hadn't watched the pre-show and heard the way Matt Hardy was talking, you wouldn't know that this was happening.
Right.
Broken Matt Hardy is happening in the
little
next 2 weeks.
These little seeds are being planted. I don't know if it'll happen that soon. I don't know if it'll happen that soon, but I do think the seeds are being planted.
He is talking the broken Matt Hardy way.
Sure.
He is literally saying delete with the mannerism now.
Yeah, when he's,
Now,
busting
in-
people's
in-
heads
in
on
the
the
ring.
turnbuckle.
Yeah.
Delete. Well, that might be the crowd saying that, and I feel
Right.
like he's saying
This
it.
loud crowd screaming
Yeah.
Brother Nero, screaming broken Matt Hardy, screaming
Right.
like everything.
Obsolete. Right.
Everything. These guys, and we get Cesaro and Sheamus making a bit of a turn.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
this might have been telegraphed a little bit just from the fact that Cesaro and Sheamus went for the handshake 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of like, all right, something's up here. You know.
Also,
Yeah,
they
like
had a-
last week on Raw, after they were beat by the Hardys, and then it got like really tense, and Sheamus was the one that was all, yeah, let's go ahead and shake. This is
Right.
this is
And
cool. It's
Cesaro
like-
was kind of the hothead.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was only a matter of time before it's like Sheamus would revert to his own hot-headedness, and then it's like I love this heel turn.
And I like it. Yeah.
It's organic. It was organically
and it's
done.
organic, and it fits these two characters that have always been. Because the Sheamus Cesaro characters have always been, we're a tag team because we want to dominate the tag teams. However, independently, we are both awesome, independent of each other.
Right.
And if a title opportunity singles wise comes up, we will do that too.
Yeah, and I think it's new territory for this team. I think this story we've seen kind of these different facets where okay, they hate each other. Okay, now they're okay with each other. Now they like each other. Now they like each other and nobody else. And I enjoy that aspect of it, especially because it's been so long since we've seen a villainous Cesaro.
I'm kind of torn on Cesaro though, just because it's like I know we all want to see him as like a singles guy, but like you put him in a singles situation that he might not be as relevant. I mean, maybe is this? I want to ask you guys: is he just made for the tag division? Tyson Kidd, Jack Swagger.
I don't think so.
Even like Chris Hero, you know, like
I feel like he does well both ways. I mean, like if you remember back when it was like him when he was the United States champion, and he had Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
he had Paul Heyman as his manager, and then it just kind of trickled off. But then he came back around, and you had him for.
But whose fault was that? Because I mean,
that
was circumstantial.
That was circumstantial.
We all thought this was going to be awesome, but
Right.
it's like.
But they needed Heyman back for Brock, and
they needed Heyman back to go on television every day, every night to specify what Brock had done.
Right.
Because Heyman can show up on TV every night, Brock won't.
Right, and I think and in a situation like that, I think they thought that him having two different clients kind of diluted the water a little bit. And so I think that was circumstantial, but I think there was a lot of momentum to that. I think people really wanted to get into the whole King of Swing persona. That was around the time that you started really seeing a lot of the Cesaro section sign.
And never forget that he like power man lifted Big Show and tossed him out.
Oh,
of the
and that
freaking ring.
reaction, especially
Oh,
the
my Lord.
reaction to that.
And like, because say what you must about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, it's never who you think it is.
Right. And that's what I've enjoyed about it.
Because the year he did that to Big Show, we all thought it would be Big Show. The year Big Show won, the year after that, we all thought it would be somebody else.
Everyone thought it would be Mizdow.
Yeah, everyone thought it would be Miz or Mizdow or
And
something.
then there was just Baron Corbin.
Right.
Actually, you're right. Actually, you're right. That was the year we all knew it was gonna. We all knew it was gonna be Baron Corbin that year, and he wasn't even announced.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I take that. 1 in 4.
No. It's just one of those things where I see Cesaro and like I want them to get the ball behind him, but it's just like I think maybe they only see him as a tag guy. Obviously, us nerds disagree.
I think I think when you put it that way, I agree with that. I don't think he's necessarily destined for it, but I think that is more what they see him as.
Although I know that there was a one-off in NXT, but just one time I want to see him with Chris Hero on the main roster.
Okay, well, he's. I feel like he's really good as the singles.
Of course,
but
we're not saying he's not good as a singles.
We're not doubting that at all.
Yeah, no, but I mean, hats off to Mick Foley, big time for putting the best of 7 together with Sheamus and Cesaro, because I think that revitalized both of them. I mean, Sheamus was doing a lot of single stuff, but it was kind of like, he's gonna get rolled up on.
Yeah,
that's happening.
I think we're gonna see Cesaro Sheamus for a pretty long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like probably up through SummerSlam.
I want some more barroom brawls with the both of them. They were giving us that for a little bit.
And I think they're put in a place that when they do split, it will be huge. That hopefully they'll both have enough momentum behind them to both be singles guys.
Yeah.
And there was a call during this match that I wasn't too big of a fan of. It was Matt Hardy and Sheamus in the corner, and Michael Cole came over and was like, here's what's the word that he used? He's like, here's the undeserving hero of this tag match.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's talking about Matt, because Matt's not necessarily had as big of a career in the WWE as Jeff had. And he was like, he's a former 3-time world champion and Intercontinental champion, a tag, the king of the ring. He's like, he's talking about Sheamus?
Yeah.
Right.
Sheamus is the most decorated guy in the match.
Right.
Yeah.
He thinks he's undeserved.
One of the most decorated guys on this card.
Right. I mean, really, kind of in the company, I can really only think of one person that rivals the amount of accomplishments he's had, and that's Edge.
Or Chris on the card or on the roster.
Just in terms of
everything.
the Royal Rumble and the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Exactly. Money in the Bank.
Champion,
Right.
Yeah, and he's a damn decent guy outside of the ring, just like normal. Like, yeah.
You guys are homies?
No, we're not homies, but
decent guy.
friends
call me
of
out.
friends, and he's always been chill.
They snap.
Yeah.
Real quick on the percent, 75-5. The Hardy Boys 21-8. Cesaro Sheamus. You guys nailed that. Moving on, we have Alexa Bliss versus Bayley. Hometown girl Bayley.
And that's always
Buy the shirt.
Hey,
wrestling in your
Yeah.
hometown is a little like hearing the reigns of Castamere at the Red Wedding. Like,
Hey, you know
this ain't
what?
gonna be good.
even Disney shot Bambi, so.
Right. But Disney didn't.
I mean, Bambi's mom.
Disney didn't keep shooting Bambi's
I mean,
mom
Bambi's
over
mom.
and over and over and over again.
Disney
There
didn't
is
shoot
that.
Thumper.
They didn't shoot the corpse six or seven
and
times.
Flower.
Like, This was a great match, a very good story. I can honestly say,
Dude, that hit to the post.
That was great. I think if it was going to happen, I think this was as good of a story as they could have told.
I agree, and I also think because today was the first time I had ever heard them talk about Alexa Bliss will become the first woman to become both Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion if she won. My first thought was they would never give that distinction to Alexa Bliss over Charlotte Flair.
Right.
So I was already a little swerved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just on that statement alone, where I was like, well, they would never do that. And they could possibly see a riot in San Jose for letting Bayley loose.
Yeah. But I loved it, especially because it led to just a straight up DDT being used as a clean finish.
I love that.
I always love that.
And I love Alexa Bliss. I've since they've called her up, I've been nothing but a huge fan.
Alexa Bliss in her Iron Man gear. I love all of her
had
different.
that for years.
I know. She's had that.
I do
Nightmare on
miss
Elm
the
Street.
Freddy Krueger look.
I love the Freddy Krueger
Of
gear.
course.
I'm
the
always a
Harley
fan
Quinn
of
look.
Harley
I was
Quinn.
going with the Harley
Harley
Quinn
Quinn look
on
is
there.
always the
Harley
best
Quinn.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, 71.8% did not get this right. 26.4% did. 1.8 as well. Thought it would be a no
This
contest.
is a great match too.
Oh,
I know a lot of
definitely.
people. A lot of people get blinded of like, oh well, Bayley's obviously gonna win, so they don't get enthralled in the actual moment. But once you kind of eliminate the, you think you know whatever who's gonna win, it was a really good match. I thought it was kudos to both women. I know there was like a report like a month and a half ago saying that they're not high on Alexa Bliss, and I was like,
Oh, really? You wouldn't think.
Internet
think
mumbo
it.
jumbo, but obviously
Right.
a lot of people react to it thinking like, oh, they're not high up on this girl, blah blah blah. And I think Road Dogg was really quick to say, no, dude, she's like the champ and she's awesome. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I liked there were a lot of kind of callbacks to the Mania match, with Bayley going for that avalanche belly to Bayley, going for the elbow drop, going for these things that have worked for her before.
Because she beat Charlotte with the elbow drop at Mania, correct?
Right.
To see like Alexa Bliss kick out, I mean, you can tell they have a lot of faith in her, but at the same time, now maybe we can finally see that Bayley comeback journey that maybe they don't screw up this time around.
Sure.
Very nice.
The Bayley
But yeah.
character is something you have to handle very well.
Right.
Because it's different from every other woman on the roster.
Oh, very much so.
I remember there was a time, I think it was heading into Survivor Series or one of those team matches where it was like Team Raw and Team SmackDown, and then Team Raw came in and beat down on Team SmackDown. And Bayley was a part of just the heel beatdown, and I was really, really upset about it.
Really?
Oh, well,
Like, they called me- he
Bayley
called me-
has her moments. She does. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago on Raw? Ty was about to fight me and Johnny because he was like, no, Bayley shouldn't have, because she came down the ramp to grab Alexa Bliss to throw her back in the ring to get back in with Sasha. Because no, you have to fight. This fight is going to happen. And he was like, she's a face.
The match,
She's not supposed to do
was
that.
over and it was unprovoked.
There
That's
you
all
go.
I'll say about it.
There we go. Yeah, we were like, no, sometimes, our characters are going to go more into chaotic neutral than being chaotic good. Oh, no, wait, Johnny wasn't on that show. It was just me, you, and Aaron.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
because
you
I
guys-
just realized I made a D&D reference, and Johnny didn't.
And nobody expressed your confusion.
Yeah, I was like, what? What does
Right.
it mean?
And you guys argued about it for 15 minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was.
yeah. Really fun thing with Raw Talk for after Payback. They had Alexa Bliss on,
yeah.
obviously, with the women's championship. And the first thing that she does is she's looking all around and she's like, where's the confetti? Where are the balloons?
It's a girlhood dream.
I've made history tonight. Oh, you don't have any? Oh, okay.
So good.
And I love that part of the
So
interview
good.
too, where Renee Young was literally trying to prod a little, you should be more excited. This happened. And she's like, I'm fine.
That's fine.
I'm really excited that this happened.
I'm gonna go where the party is.
My favorite Alexa Bliss moment on one of those Talking Smack or Talking Raw, or whatever it is, that I think it was a week after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's like she just learned that the Patriots won and totally broke character.
Right.
I thought that was the best moment. Oh wait, they won?
Well, she had
said
it one way, and then Daniel Bryan called her out on it, and them going back and forth was so good.
It's funny because
until
almost
Monday.
if she turned off the TV as they were losing and then didn't even bother checking to see that the Patriots actually won. It's like, oh my God, they won.
R.I.P. Talking Smack for you guys.
Yeah. Right.
Renee Young and JBL is just not the same.
No, right.
We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the longest match of the night. It was Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. It was in a House of Horrors, and it wound up in a wrestling ring and being a match.
Right.
Yes.
But it started in a house of horrors.
And then chauffeured over.
Exactly. I wasn't expecting the limo to be the connection between the two.
To be honest, I was expecting it to be set up like a boiler room type of a
Sure.
situation.
Yeah, sure.
And then they like battle their way upstairs and spills over into the match, into the ring.
So what we do know about Bray Wyatt's House of Horrors is it's within a 20-minute drive of the SAP Center in San Jose. So you could draw a map.
Triangulate its location.
SAP Center's close to the ocean, so that like screws up some of the latitude. Like we could get a decent range on where this house is, guys.
Yeah. He rented and trashed the Airbnb. Let's be honest.
Right. He's not getting that deposit back.
No, and he don't cur.
Oh my God! Can somebody make a fake Airbnb tomorrow? And then write a terrible
House of
a
Horrors.
terrible review for Bray Wyatt. Oh, I might write that
It's
before
like there's
bed.
still baby dolls stapled to my ceiling.
You guys didn't even take the trash out.
There's I think a hand went through a wall at this point.
That refrigerator was brand new.
Exactly.
He flipped it over. He dusted it. He put dust on it to follow the buzzards on the refrigerator.
Yeah. We talked about it. I like the fact that it's something that we don't see very often.
Yeah, I like that they're trying things new at Bray, like WrestleMania when we had a ring full of maggots.
Those-
doing new things, trying new things.
Spooky stuff.
Digging that. However, if you're gonna give me a 6 to 8 minute horror film, make a 6 to 8 minute horror film.
Right.
You hire an actual composer.
They have a movie studio.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
They've done horror movies.
they hire a director, hire a composer, write a script.
Yeah.
Give me the good version of the White Castle one.
Oh man, the White Castle of Fear.
The White Castle of Fear. Like, give me a
Absolutely.
good
meant
version.
Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
The original.
Yeah, it's with you, George.
The White Castle of Fear. The White Castle of Fear was the original final deletion with Cheatham, the little person.
But
By the way, all the people that are about to watch White Castle of Fear, including myself, producers, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're about to get like a $10
Yes.
royalty check.
WWE Network, you should tell us how big a bump we just caused.
But yeah,
on
I
White
think-
Castle of Fear, because if you search it, it will come up with the Bash at the Beach that had happened.
Right. But I think the main issue that I had with this is just contextually. I know obviously pro wrestling there's an element of suspension of disbelief that goes into it, and especially with characters like Bray Wyatt. But it was the fact that okay, this is supposed to be happening in real time, but they've got these really kind of polished camera cuts and these lighting cues.
And that could have, like, a lot of that could have been solved in one sentence by Michael Cole of saying, okay, we know where the house is. We sent a production crew to set up cameras this morning. Bray has since been through it. It's still his house. But that simple explanation of why the cameras are there.
I would like an explanation where Bray Wyatt has brainwashed the production crew and is now controlling the lighting guys and the tech guys.
See, I feel like though, like they're not going to do that because I feel like they should know, or they think that we know that everything's already getting filmed anyways. Because it's not like they were ignoring. This isn't Lucha Underground where the commentators completely always ignore the backstage segments, you know?
But to an extent, that is kind of what happens because we get these backstage conversations that are supposed to happen in secret.
But they talk about it, though.
But the guys in the scene don't.
No,
they,
but
they
the
don't.
commentators talk about it.
Right. But I think
I think it's just a given. I get where you're coming. I think it's just a
Right.
given.
Where the guys don't even acknowledge that there's a camera there, so it's supposed to be happening in secret, and we just happen to see it.
If only they had two guys on the Raw roster who've been doing this for a year. We've been making segments like that, pre-taped segments like this for over a little less than a year now.
Right.
If only those two guys were there.
That sort of thinking is obsolete. There were only a couple of things that they could have done. Production-wise, I found it weird that there were GoPros in various rooms. Why not just do all GoPros so that way it looks like found footage?
Right.
Also, I think it would have been really creepy if it being a home, Bray Wyatt put a bunch of pictures of Randy Orton's family around.
Sure.
I thought that would have been super creepy.
That
I mean,
Yes,
he's done that with Roman,
crazy.
hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they've casted Randy Orton's wife once before. To,
Not
I
the
think it
real
was-
wife, but
Well, yeah,
Right.
like,
A
like
wife.
they've rented a house and destroyed that house,
And rented
then
a
I'm
had-
gonna say they
and
were
then-
real wife.
I hated that.
well, and then they
segment.
hired someone to play his wife.
Well, his most recent wife, I think, appeared on Unfiltered, so the WWE audience knows her.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? Honestly, at the end of the day, I did not hate this
It,
segment.
it wasn't
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
we didn't
enjoyed
hate
this.
But
Yeah.
here's my only beef, and I'm really curious about. I know Anissa was at the show. I want to know what they thought, because if I was
I can tell you, actually.
if I was at the show, I would have hated it.
Right.
But because I'm
Right.
not at the show, it's
Sure.
not that bad.
Go on,
Anissa,
Mark.
Anissa has been saying in the chat that fans booed the hell out of the
Yeah.
segment, but she really enjoyed it.
Right.
It's one of those
I
things where
could
it's
see
like,
that.
if I go to a show, I'm not going to a show to watch it on a screen. If I go
Right.
to a Dodger
Yeah.
game, if
That's
I go to a
probably
game,
why.
I'm not gonna sit
But
money to
keeping
watch
in
it on screen.
mind, it was like half on the screen, half in the ring. So
And
you
the
No,
other-
no,
didn't
no.
get,
Yeah, the
you
part
know-
that was in the ring wasn't bad.
Yeah, the in-ring
Yeah.
part was great. To get to the in-ring part, we had the Singh brothers, and they called them the Singh brothers. We're ditching Bollywood boys.
Right. Right.
Right on.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
Let's
Yeah.
they're the Singh brothers. That's great. They come in, interfere. Orton fights them off. Then Jinder Mahal comes in with Randy Orton's championship, which which at the very least, this makes a lot of sense that given what Randy Orton's been dealing with for the last like 5 or 6 days since Tuesday, he hasn't had the time to track down Jinder Mahal to get that belt back.
Yeah.
Nobody
Can I say
expects Jinder Mahal.
just everybody loves stealing Randy Orton's limo. Just
is
everybody
a-
does.
Yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
a
Bray did it
common-
tonight. Didn't Jinder do it on SmackDown when he
feel
ran
like-
off with his belt and then like stuck him out of
I
stuck
thought that
out
was
the
Jinder's
skylight?
limo. I thought
Was it?
I thought Jinder rented a limo like
Oh,
prom.
Really
in
quick.
my head that was
His
Orton's
prom.
limo.
Really quick. Did I miss the memo where this wasn't for the belt at any point?
I missed it too.
No.
No,
It's I
It
I talked
changed.
about it on the Raw show a couple weeks ago. And they were it seemed like sort of deliberately dancing around even mentioning the
Yep.
title.
Okay, just making sure, because
Because-
this whole time I
Yeah.
thought it was for the belt.
They never explicitly said one way or the other. I don't think.
They announced it like on the website
Did
at
they?
some point like 2 weeks ago.
That is
that
not for the
that
belt?
it was not for
Specifically not
that
for
it
the
was
belt.
specifically not for the championship.
Okay.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
was
Right.
which makes a little more sense. This was still a SmackDown guy versus a Raw guy, but it was the SmackDown champion versus a Raw guy
Right.
who
right.
happens to be the former champion, which makes the finish
What about
make
that for
sense.
Jericho versus Owens?
Jericho versus
It was
Owens
a SmackDown guy versus a Raw guy. It was SmackDown champ versus a Raw guy.
well, that got even weirder because then the,
Because it was a Raw
it's-
champ.
it's
made it,
recent.
but they made it very, very clear on the show. If Jericho wins, he's on SmackDown.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things about this match they didn't make as clear as they could.
oh,
Sorry, really quickly, somebody in chat pointed out Jinder stole the title, so it couldn't be for the title because he had it.
that's some airtight. That is actually airtight on
And-
that is airtight on WWE's
But
part.
but there is precedent before for them to just make another title, and here's the new title.
No, never. There's only one
with Rey
championship.
Mysterio and John
one.
Cena.
And it's not Jinder's unless he has side plates.
No, that's true.
That's true.
That's
It's still
true.
Randy Orton's side plate.
Side plates are 9/10 of the law.
So Bray Wyatt is over with interference. I enjoyed this finish because it makes Bray Wyatt look like a monster.
Also, just
Oh, yeah.
real quick, I really loved the power slam that Randy Orton did on one of the Singh brothers. That was a hell of a power
That's
slam.
fun.
I like that whole act that they're doing with Jinder and the Singh brothers. Although I'm
Yeah.
sure at some point Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas were thinking, dude, we were with the Heath Slater. Where's our push? Where's our big? Where's our big, you know?
Right,
You
right,
have
right.
Drew McIntyre killing it on NXT, and then you have Jinder going for the WWE Championship.
Wow.
Dude, good for Jinder. though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good for
controlling
him.
the.
So when we're here
God,
for
he just looks
Backlash,
huge.
when we're here for Backlash, I think we're gonna have a lot to say about where they're going with Jinder and Orton. There's been a lot of negative things about Jinder Mahal being #1 contender. I'm actually all for it.
I loved it.
'Cause
Yeah, why not?
I think it was
Reminds me of
It
JBL.
works.
it was once again
Oh,
something that nobody
wow.
really
Yeah,
really
That's
saw
it. It
coming.
reminds
But
me
I
of
like-
JBL. Like literally 1 week he was with Farouk or Ron Simmons,
Yeah.
Right.
and the following week he's like #1 contender going
Yep.
after Eddie Guerrero.
Absolutely.
And completely change up his whole gimmick and look.
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
became the Wall Street guy.
And then
Right.
exactly, like, you know, he had the Bashems with him, Orlando Jordan. Now
His whole
this guy, I
cabinet.
feel like maybe he's missing, Jinder's missing one guy from really being like a legit, you know, guy that everybody can look at and be like, dude, that guy's a main eventer.
And it's not like they don't do this. And it's not like all of them turn out to be JBL and champion for a while. Like sometimes, like I remember this happened to Carlito once. That like Carlito fought for the title once and then came back down to where he was before he fought for the title once.
Right.
Like this does happen, and it's just the dichotomy and the cyclical thing of the internet. of internet wrestling fans is they'll complain
because it's not
they'll-
their
they'll-
guy.
Yeah, they'll complain that like, oh, you're pushing the same.
It's
three
always
guys.
the same guys.
Yeah.
And then they push Jinder Mahal, and they're like, but not that guy.
Not him.
We wanted you to push Dolph Ziggler.
We weren't talking about
We were
him.
talking about Dolph Ziggler, Cesaro,
Nakamura.
or Nakamura. Those were our three.
Right.
We're the internet.
Sami Zayn too.
Although I
think
love that
Sami Zayn-
video package that they had for him. You see what the
Oh God, yes.
wasn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
They're gonna
So
do great things with
gorgeous,
Nakamura
yeah.
on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to the last two matches. This, by the way, the world champion was not in the main event. Just pointing that out.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't at WrestleMania either.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
not
that's
really that big of a deal anymore, especially when the guy isn't even on wrestling on. No, never
Right,
to be found.
exactly.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they're
We
gonna put the
saw-
title on Brock, we're gonna have some non-title main
Yeah.
events.
Also, one thing I've thought up heading into this match before they made it very clear that the Jericho Owens, the Jericho go to SmackDown. I thought if Jericho won, he should have brought the U.S. title back to Raw or to Raw. In a way, meaning that if Lesnar's going to be the world champion and not show up every night, they should have two mid-card championships.
Interesting.
I think that would have been good booking.
They
They went
still have
another.
the cruiserweight title.
They went another way. I think the
That's
cruiserweight.
true.
I think they should put the
And
cruiserweight
if anything,
title on SmackDown.
I think if done correctly, it can maybe help elevate the women's championship. Now it's like now that the WWE championship isn't there, and I honestly for hopefully 5 minutes, I really thought Bayley and Alexa Bliss was going to main event this show.
Interesting.
That was my pick to main event this show as well. So we are running slightly out of time. Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. This match went 15 minutes 55 seconds. Great match.
a lot of time for this one. Absolutely.
A lot of
Yeah.
time for these guys to tell a great story. The story of which is that Samoa Joe is Triple H's lackey, for lack of a better term, and that Seth Rollins still has issues with Triple H.
Right.
Have I nailed it? I think I've.
I don't think he still has issues with Triple H anymore.
Or that he's
I think it's
still-
more going after the guy who took him out of action for a
Yeah,
few months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
And
think Triple H is in the past
we
already.
we talked about
Yeah.
that a little on the Raw show. I think that story with Triple H that kind of got that button put on at WrestleMania. Now he's sort of going after these tertiary guys. Like, okay, now I can go after that the guy that took out that almost took out his knee all over again. And I think the story, the continuing story of Samoa Joe just being this ruthless destroyer was played to perfection in this match.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse Kill Bill.
Sure, there you go.
yeah.
There you go. I
Start
like
with
that.
Bill.
Start
He
with
started
Bill.
with Bill.
Start with Bill, and then it's gonna be.
Then
now
you
he's
can go
working
after
his way
Buck.
out for everybody else.
then it's
Exactly.
then it's Kevin Owens. Then it's. I'm trying to think of who else.
Well,
would be.
Ambrose, he could go after
Ready to-
He
Ambrose
could always
now.
go after Ambrose.
You know,
You didn't help me, so I'll go. That would be
you
his-
stood aside. I was on another channel.
You stood aside, sir.
Right. Exactly.
Why aren't you going after Roman? Because I can't.
yeah.
Reasons.
But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed this match a lot.
Great back and forth. These guys did a great match, and I think they've been kept away from each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this is the first ever because I doubt it's a first ever. These guys.
I mean, not first ever in history.
Yeah, like
but
these guys were in Ring of Honor together at,
yes,
at
exactly.
one point.
Both former ROH champions. Yeah.
But this would. I want to say this is the first time one-on-one on WWE television.
think you might be
feel
right.
like
Yeah.
I'm going to be wrong.
Because
but
Joe's
that-
only been there for like a month.
Joe's
Right.
been a little before
Well,
WrestleMania.
We've
he's
all
been
seen-
popping out of everywhere.
And
so,
Seth-
We've all
I
seen
mean,
Joe because Joe injured Rollins on his first day.
Right.
Rollins didn't have another match until
It was
WrestleMania.
just before Fastlane.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
It was
Thank
on
you.
the road to
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Yes. He was on the on-ramp
And
to
I
the
don't
road.
think I didn't realize until the video package exactly what it was that hurt Rollins' knee when Joe debuted, and seeing that takedown when he took him down with the coquina clutch, and seeing that knee like bend sideways in almost the exact same way as when he did the sunset bomb to Kane
Yeah.
that was rough to watch.
Yeah.
I kind of hope I see another match with these guys. I feel like, especially with the way this was like a flash finish, it could've
Exactly. It wasn't necessarily decisive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of decisive, if you boil our fans down to a decision, they couldn't reach one.
Oh wow.
A
Yeah.
dead split, 46-4 for both competitors, 7.3 for a no contest.
Nice.
It was a dead split between both competitors. Seth Rollins
Yeah.
pretty much ekes one out, and I love a good ekes one out because then everyone still has something to go for.
Right. And this was the first time that we had seen Samoa Joe lose a one-on-one match on the main roster.
And can you believe that they actually had, or that Seth actually said the thing? he actually said that Payback is gonna be May. Flipped it on you. It's really late. It's actually it is actually May now.
It is May.
It is May now.
Yeah, it actually is. You saw everybody's seen that GIF, right?
Yes.
Where it's gonna be my.
Yes, I did.
Justin Timberlake.
But I like
Was
the
that what
new
you did?
I
Was
like
that what
the
you were
new
doing?
twist on it where it's May from Overwatch.
Well, first off,
Payback.
everybody knows it's going to be May. It's going to turn into in 3 days. Oh, May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yep.
Get out
Yeah.
of here, man.
Yep.
And then
Hold on,
there's
let me-
the
But then
Revenge
after
of the
that-
5th.
Oh
We're
yeah.
gonna have to delete all these tweets now, guys. You're telling me they're not cool? I'm gonna move on. Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
Braun Strowman.
Oh my God, this match.
What should have been the
Wow.
obvious main event. Like in my mind this morning, I was
Wow.
thinking Alexa Bliss Bayley, but I'm like, this is the obvious main event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna lead into something with someone tipping over an ambulance,
Tipping,
And-
no,
and then the-
bare hand flipping.
And then
Right.
breaking a ring.
right.
How can that not be your main event? How can that not be leading to your main event?
Right, exactly.
How can that not?
Speaking of which, good to see John Cone reffing again.
Yes, very happy John
absolutely.
Cone's still with us.
Bringing him back.
Also, I think after all of this, it's all but a lock that Braun Strowman is next in line for Brock Lesnar.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
That needs to be like this. That needs to be exactly what they're doing.
Right.
I have no problem
I
with
think
that.
it's Braun and Brock. I think Brock is the one to put Braun down, and then we're going to Brock and Roman again.
Yeah, just the rise of Braun Strowman has been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love what they're doing with him. I enjoy him on the mic. I enjoy him just bugging out. I mean, him with the dumpster match versus Kalisto. I was like, and he ended up losing, but it was like, he never loses though. He's Braun Strowman.
And I mean, he lost in as much as standing in a dumpster is losing.
Well,
me
they
of
didn't say lids had to be, slammed. We assumed.
Specificity.
We assumed.
The lid part, I think, is what people assume. That's
Yeah.
always what historically has been a
That's-
dumpster match,
it's been the
like a
thing.
casket match. But
but oh no, he came to beat some ass.
Yeah.
he did.
Roman Reigns came out bandaged, looking weak.
Mm-hmm.
He
Spitting blood on a wall.
he was not 100% heading into the match. He got a decent comeback. But
He
Braun,
got a lot of intimacy with some steel steps.
Yep.
oh yeah,
And then Braun beats him, and then Braun continues to beat on him.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, Braun should be in Kurt Angle's face saying, Brock Lesnar, when?
right. In a way, I think I would have liked going back to the ambulance flipping tirade. I think I would have liked to see that toned down a little bit, and for this beatdown to really be just an absolute massacre. Because I feel like it was a little anticlimactic. Now that we've seen Braun push Roman off of a ledge while
Yeah.
strapped to a gurney and flip an ambulance over, just doing snake eyes onto the ring step seems like a step down.
There isn't well.
Oh god damn it!
Nice.
All right.
Didn't even mean to.
Does anyone have any final thoughts before we head into like prediction-y things and then?
I'm happy that the right guy won. I mean,
Yes.
I feel like I think a big part of us was like, they're really going to make Roman win this one, aren't they? After everything
Right.
he's
Yeah.
gone through in the last few weeks, storyline wise, they're really going to make him win, aren't they? Oh, they made him lose. Then no, I'm not a Roman hater, but it's like,
Right.
you got to show
But I
some
think-
vulnerability.
I'm a
man.
bad story hater, and that would be a bad story.
Right.
Yeah,
and I
we
think,
need to see a build.
Yeah.
Right,
We
and
need
I
to see a
think
build.
going into this, I was expecting Braun to win it only because he came in with all of the DDP tape around his body. Like if he's ever going to lose, it's going to be in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Right.
I mean,
But I'm happy-
100%. Nobody can beat Roman, but
Right.
Yeah, but the real underlying cause of it is that he beats up on people because he has a thing against ambulances.
He really
He
does.
That's
hates
just what
these
he
ambulances.
hates I'm not through with you.
God, that scene was played as if it were a comedy scene, and I laughed so hard. Like just hearing him come like from off screen multiple times.
Yeah.
It was they were following the rule of threes, and like
Yeah.
the only thing it was missing was just they're married with children dummy getting thrown from off screen over the ledge.
Or Jazzy Jeff getting tossed out.
That's
the top.
exactly right.
But speaking of predictability, or not,
There's a segue.
10% of our fans thought that he would flip over the whole building, and that it would be a no
Just a
contest.
no contest.
38.2% thought it would be Roman Reigns for the reasons we thought, which is you stack the deck against your John Cena, your Hulk Hogan, your Stone
He needs
Cold
odds
Steve
to
Austin,
overcome.
and then he slays the Giant, and then 51.8 were correct with Braun Strowman. Speaking of which, all those people weren't just giving me free data. They were playing the AfterBuzz TV Predictions Championship, which, as of tonight, has started Season 2.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to start with who is the current AfterBuzz TV Predictions Champion as of tonight.
Oh, I got a text
All right.
message.
He
That's my text message.
From the Raw general manager.
yeah.
he had 16 points out of 20 points.
Wow.
Ooh, pretty solid.
That's an 80%.
And he's also our co-grand prize winner from last season, Mexican Stallion.
Congrats.
Now,
Did it.
the question people have been blowing up my Twitter about is, what is the grand prize?
That's a great question.
Well,
Yeah, everybody wants to know
I know,
what they
I'm very
could
curious.
win.
and we're in the studio with the high chairs. A box.
Oh, there we go.
box! Yay!
Yay!
A box!
Babies
box.
and kittens
This
love
box
those.
is courtesy of EntertainmentEarth.com, and it is for WWE Pop
stuff
Vinyl Finger.
inside the box.
Pop Vinyl figures
There's
that'll be
more.
split
just
among
ruined it.
our two co-champions.
Ooh, pass it over.
This is
Like cut it in half.
Goldberg.
Awesome.
This
awesome.
is Mick Foley. You can order
Oh,
them.
this
No,
is
that's
Mick
it.
Foley.
This,
Oh,
is,
sorry.
this is Mick
I feel
Foley.
so
Considerably less flannel.
So I'm bearded guy. This is Mick Foley. They are currently available
wow.
at EntertainmentEarth.com right now.
80s rock.
However,
I like it.
this is Finn Balor, and this is AJ Styles.
Oh, there you go.
They are on pre-order. They will not be shipping today, but they will be shipping to our champion, our grand prize winners,
Mexican-
courtesy of EntertainmentEarth.com.
There you go.
There are
Oh.
prizes. Prizes are real. They happen here.
They're very real. They're tangible. We're holding them right now.
We're holding them, and they will be shipped out to our co-grand prize winners.
Yeah,
you
congrats
go.
on your three prizes.
No, 1. 2 and 2.
Make it an
No,
even number,
because
guys.
I'm taking one.
I got it.
How are we going to cut this in half, though?
So,
Vertical or horizontal?
Down the
Oh,
middle.
okay, I see.
so moving, and I'm also going to be tweeting a picture of all of these that I'd love everyone to retweet if you could. Beyond that, do we have any final thoughts about this?
Oh, the
About
box?
this.
Oh, the
About
box.
the
Wow.
Well looking box.
About WWE,
Yeah.
about WWE
What a hell of a
Payback.
box.
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a lot.
I think it was okay. I mean, I think we always get our obligatory rematches from WrestleMania. I think.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
This is one of the first times where I felt that the Mania matches were better than the rematches.
Right.
A lot of times I think the rematches are a lot better.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And we
Well,
still have
you've
backlash
got different
for that.
stakes when it comes with the rematches.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, kind of what brings up to mind was Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. That doesn't really count. 'Cause, I mean,
the 18-second.
I mean,
right.
They
yeah,
had the
right.
actual match at Backlash. Like,
Yeah. But I'm excited to see where they go with the Cruiserweight title. I would definitely love to see a ladder match for that. I'm excited to see Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor whenever that happens.
speaking
You
of the
know
cru-
it's got to happen.
Speaking of the Cruiserweight title, and I saw this kind of after watching NXT. Should we ever like maybe combine like the UK guys and put them in there? I mean, you have somebody like Tyler Bate. I think somebody like him can basically like, you know what?
Yeah.
I UK champion. I'm the UK champion. But you know what? I want to be the Cruiserweight
Right.
champion.
Well, we have seen Jack Gallagher go for both now.
yes,
Yeah.
Jack Gallagher. I think Tyler Bates the wrong example because I think they're keeping that belt on him for a pretty long time.
Well, yeah, I'm saying
But
he just wants
anyone-
to be a double
I'd,
champion.
But
I'd
yeah,
like
the
to see
others.
that.
You know?
Yeah. I'd like to see him, try to pursue being a double champion.
I think
for
they would
sure.
have to establish rules to the UK Championship first. Like they don't.
I mean, there's
very
there's
clear.
There's no rule to any championship that they can't go for another one.
And I think if done correctly, and I hate when they kind of do this because if kind of they don't make it as such a big deal as they should. But like, yeah, make it seem like, dude, this is like they did with Hogan Warrior WrestleMania 6. It was such a big deal.
Yeah.
That you had the WWE champion and the Intercontinental champion going up against together.
Right.
Now it's like, you know, we saw like kind of downplay like when during the brand split where you had like CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan every week when they're each champion. You
Right,
know,
right.
I think it kind of downplayed, but I think if done correctly, I really think they can at least maybe not Tyler Bate, but just someone who's that champion can.
Well, to that point, I think we could see a title match between Neville and Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
They could both go for each other's
I don't
respective
even
titles.
care if it's like a false finish. Like, I don't care if it's like a double DQ as long as they build toward that very like Harley Race versus Hulk Hogan from back in the day. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, very real possibility. I'm interested in what they're going to do with the women's division now. Now that we have a new women's champion, Alexa Bliss is a totally different type than they've had for there. So I'm wondering how it's going to work with her and Sasha, because that's going to be fireworks.
And I love the fact that, like, especially on Raw Talk, where she's like, everybody's always talking about the 4 horsewomen, Bayley, Sasha, Becky.
Yes.
But you know what? I'm the first one to be both champions. How about that?
Yeah.
And she didn't say, how about that?
How about that?
That would have been fitting her character, though.
Yeah.
How about that? Where are my balance?
Yeah, that along with I'm very interested in what they end up doing with Finn and Bray. Like when that comes around.
Right.
I don't want to put my expectations too high, but they're already up there. So
I mean, they had that promo when Bray first appeared on Raw, so it looks like they are planting those seeds.
And where is the Drifter, though?
We didn't see any
everywhere.
drifting.
Oh, he drifted.
This guy looks just like
Also, why wasn't the Intercontinental Championship on this pay-per-view?
Or the
Dean
Intercontinental
Ambrose
Champion.
Or the Intercontinental Champion, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're losing faith
Sorry,
in
shout
Dean
that out
Ambrose.
for our audio listeners.
I feel like Dean Ambrose. I gave a thumbs down, not because I'm an Ambrose hater, but I just feel like they're losing a lot of faith with Dean Ambrose.
No, I think
feel
it's
like-
fine. I think Ambrose is fine. I think everything's great with Ambrose.
I hope so.
It very clearly is, sure.
I'm worried. I'm officially worried about what they might be doing with
I thought they had
Dean
a good
Ambrose.
segment on Raw with like the Ambrose Asylum and the highlight reel. I thought
And
that
then
was good.
and I thought the week before that they had, for what wasn't a very fresh program between the Miz and
Right.
Ambrose, they had a really fresh segment.
Yeah.
And he's on TV still.
Yeah, I liked him patching things up with Jericho and giving him the Christmas light jacket. And
I
was
do love a
great.
good callback. I do love a good callback.
that was good.
Maybe.
But now it's time to move
I think I say turn him
forward.
heel. I feel like if you have all of them as a baby face, they're gonna have the obligatory like, oh, when's the Shield getting
Shield
back together?
reunion, right.
I feel like turn one of them heel, have him stop talking about it. But if anybody turns heel, I think it's time for Ambrose to turn heel. If you're not
agree.
gonna turn Roman heel,
okay with
turn
that.
Ambrose heel.
I agree.
We got a lot
Especially
of-
because so many people were expecting Dean Ambrose to be the top
Yeah.
heel coming out of the Shield.
And obviously,
breakup.
guys who've been following him, pre-WWE, know he's got a lot to offer as a heel.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, if only they'll
Or-
let him go more Moxley.
Right, exactly. Not so much wacky Dean. Let's
Yeah,
see more
more-
kind of menacing.
Or if
Yeah.
the Stone Cold podcast happens on the WWE network again, force Stone Cold to do some prep.
right.
Maybe watch more than the Raw that night
Yeah.
of the guy you're interviewing.
Yeah.
I listen to your podcast, Stone Cold. I'm just saying.
Right, I agree.
Like, you're not always current.
Right. But yeah. So
Because if anything, there's really no top heels. Braun Strowman's there, but like
On Raw?
they love him anyway because he's
Yeah.
beating up Roman.
that's true. That is
I think Roman Reigns is the top heel on Raw.
yeah, really.
like an actual heel
Yeah.
heel.
Dude, now that Kevin Owens was literally talking smack about being on this new show and being all of this, all of that, and now that he's coming back to Raw defeated, I think he'll be like a.
He
You
stays.
mean
On,
Is he coming back to
SmackDown?
Raw?
no, he stays on
SmackDown.
He
no,
stays
the,
on.
the champion goes to SmackDown.
No, he
Mm-hmm.
stays on SmackDown.
Right,
They-
but he also
Owens is
stays
still
on SmackDown, right?
Owens
They-
is still on SmackDown.
Yeah, they drafted
so.
Kevin Owens and the United States Championship.
But
the match
title
was.
stays
But the
on
title
the-
stays or something.
They
So
need to talk
no,
about that.
no, it was
Right.
clear.
I think so.
No, it was very clear because I had it written
Well,
wrong
very
on the
clear.
form.
That's why I got it.
You got
But
it.
Jericho and
Ooh.
Owens are both on SmackDown with
Yeah,
the US belt.
Owens is not coming
Man,
back to Raw.
Getting
I
a little
see, I
salty
see.
in the booth, huh, Mark?
It's pretty late,
Yeah.
guys. Why don't we take this
Yeah.
one home?
Yeah.
All right, I agree. We should go home.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Starting at my far left. Ty.
Yes, you can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA, as well as on Monday
shot.
nights on the Raw After Show. They know how to be well. You can be well too. Tune into Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Saturdays 4 p.m. Check those local listings.
Or just go to the tapings.
Or go to the
Or go to
tapings
the
if you're in
tapings.
SoCal. They're totally free.
There you go. I'm Markeia McCarty. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Markeia MCCARTY. My Snapchat is Darth Thinmints. Darth is in Vader. Thinmints as in Girl Scout cookies. You can find me with this guy Monday nights, WWE Raw After Show on AfterBuzz TV. I'm also on Popcorn Talk, which is sister network of AfterBuzz. Marvel Movie News, that is Tuesdays at 2:30. And you can see me tomorrow, as in today, on Screen Junkies News. I'll be covering, nerd stuff.
There you go.
You mean this isn't nerd stuff either?
Oh,
This is wrestling stuff.
my life is nerd stuff.
Okay.
I should just say regular stuff when it comes to me.
Different nerd topics.
I forgot what I was going to say. I am George Hermoza. You can follow me at GHERMOZA on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, PlayStation Network, MySpace. I said that joke.
There you go.
No, you're on
There you
my-
go.
But there's new people though, so you guys haven't heard it.
I'm on your top
I'm on
8.
it.
Live journal.
Live channel.
I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. You can find me tomorrow twice on AfterBuzz TV, once for the Gotham After Show, twice for Better Call Saul. You can also find me on Snapchat at Steve Kaufmann, but I get real weird.
Cool.
Oh,
Is that how we're ending this?
bye.
Good night, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.